But I just want to mention some aspects of the future which I get paid by the government of Alberta to look at in a systematic way on behalf of advanced education and technology, in particular the kind of innovation branch in there. We have a real problem in Canada as a whole. The country is in serious trouble around demographics. To survive economically, we're going to have to triple immigration. So I'll say that again slowly because it has huge implications for us as teachers and for schools. We're going to have to triple immigration to sustain our current level of economic activity. And that has other implications, which means that we can't simply train people to what they do right now and expect the same results. We're going to have to significantly change the way people work, and in particular, change their relationships to technology. Technology is going to change significantly, but I think that creates both opportunities and threats. One of the opportunities it creates is for us to not worry so much about having to teach information. Then I, as a teacher, no longer have to worry about teaching the facts of history. What I can focus on is coaching, guiding, and mentoring my students to experience history in a different way, is to create authentic learning tasks for students that leverages technology to enable them to imagine a different future for themselves. Climate change is going to have an impact on our industries. It's already had an impact on the forestry industry. Ask anybody about pine beetle and the link between that and climate. And that has an impact on some 15 communities in Alberta who depend on the forest for their existence. We're losing another piece of the puzzle here because of this focus on testing and this focus upon testing for things that may or may not be important to our future. That we've lost sight of a key competency area that's critical to our community, which is creativity, and in particular the arts. We're not saying that a group of experts, particularly us as consultants, actually know what we're doing. We're saying actually what we have to do is to create the confidence in you that you know what you're doing. That our primary job is to build back the professional trust that you should have in yourselves and your peers in your school to take back your schools. So the theme, in my mind, is about reclaiming your authority as professionals. Do you have good processes in place to hold yourself accountable for your professional obligations and responsibilities? So accountability isn't an outcome, it's a journey. Accountability isn't a set of measures. It's a process that says we have a process for understanding what it is we're trying to achieve in this school, in this community, at this time. It's also about celebrating the richness of schools. So when you go into a school, you don't see displays of your provincial test results on the wall. What you see is kids' work, kids' artwork, kids' music. I've taken the view that given the investments that have been made, both in terms of training of teachers and in the infrastructure and in the investments in community, then the state has a right to ask some questions about what's happening. Actually, how we're going about that is destructive and is destroying the professionalism of schools. I think that one of the principles is to recognize that schools are different. And I'll give you an example. One of the pilot districts is Grand Prairie, and we're working in two particular schools there. One is brand new and has a kind of hand-selected staff, and there's great energy in that school. And the other one is a well-established, very interesting location that has all sorts of different issues. One size does not fit all for these two places. They are completely different at different stages of their history, at different stages of their journey to excellence, different levels of staffing issues, different levels of resourcing, different levels of integration of special needs and not special needs. They're fundamentally different places. It's like two planets. My other observation to you is that having a high PISA score on literacy doesn't tell us that our kids are literate. We're number 2 in the world on something, and 20% of our adult workforce in the workforce is not functionally literate at the adult level. Is something wrong here? What would happen if all those kids who dropped out turned up for the test? What would happen if all those dropouts were actually tested at every single stage of the system? Where would we be on our PISA scores? we'd be somewhere else. So how important are those? Not at all. Is literacy important? Absolutely. Is this how to measure it? I don't think so. My other point to you is that schools are uniquely positioned in community. So the school in Athabasca has a very different purpose from the school from Vic Comp here in town, here in Edmonton, which has a very different purpose from a school in High Level, which has a very different purpose from a school in Grand Prairie. Underlying elements are similar. But fundamental things are different because of who's in that community and what that community represents. One of the things we need to get back to, and this is a very good message for us to think about as a profession, is not simply give schools back to teachers, but give schools back to their own communities.